Okay, so give us a 30-second version. Your wonderful trip to Medina.
I get to the yard.
Yes.
The truck's frozen shut. Will not open.
What does that mean? Like you can't get the door open?
Will not open at all.
The sidebox door.
It's frozen shut. I ended up breaking the handle because I pulled on it so hard.
Did you add that to Trello?
No, I forgot. I remembered it, but I forgot to add it to Trello.
Oh, let's hope nobody.
But I have those locks, the latches and locks. I can take care of it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say let's hope no one from Friday hears
No,
that.
I can
Okay,
take care of it.
go ahead.
With it.
Fast forward a few hours. Finally, was
A few
able
hours?
to. Well, I called you first at
You called me at
5:20.
5:30. Yeah.
Woo!
And so finally, the truck is. Vince comes down. He gets the truck open for me. Or
What time is this?
another set of keys.
7:30ish.
Yeah.
Okay, a few hours.
Well,
couple hours.
no. He texted me at 6:30,
Oh, okay. So an hour.
and I saw that, and I responded back, and we were going back and forth, and I told him that I'd get it taken care of, and I was going to take the truck since he was already there. I thought he was there a lot longer, and I got there, and as I'm driving, I'm thinking, nope, I can't because I got stuff to do with Mel. We got to get rescue trucks. So I called Jerry back and I said, sorry, but I can't take it. I need you to come back and take the truck. But at that point, I had the spare keys in the green van.
Yeah.
So I was able to open the door for him and get the keys and get the truck started and hopefully get it warmed up a little bit.
Okay.
So I was back home at this point. So all I had to do was just slip on my shoes, grab my stuff. So I grabbed another cup of coffee, my tea, my book bag, slip my shoes on, go out the door, drive all the way back over there. I'm rushing to the truck because he's like, yeah, it's already running. It's already warming up. You're ready to go. And yeah, as I walk towards the truck, I step on ice and both feet go out and I land on my back.
Ooh.
Coffee and tea go, literally, I look up and coffee and tea is raining down on me.
Which probably felt good being how
It's
cold it was.
raining.
No.
No,
By the time you got to him,
Now when it freezes like 3
It was
seconds.
ice.
Exactly,
It
it was
came down
ice.
as snow. Came down as
Yeah.
snow.
So then all I could think about was, well, the truck's got to get there. I'm already late because normally I'm showing up at 8 a.m. and here it is like 7:30 and I'm just getting on the road. And so I just take off to Madonna with coffee and tea all over me.
Wow.
But we got it done.
Well, if you don't know, people back at home, they do not plow our yard. It's one of the things that's very frustrating, and but they don't. But it's usually it's not too bad.
it's just ice at that point
so
because we've driven on it so much.
Most years,
It's not
it's
that bad.
not that bad.
We don't get this weather
this
like
has been a
no.
very abnormal
Yeah.
winter
Yeah.
that we've had so far, and so right now it is literally a giant sheet of ice.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually in the Jeep today, and I went to make a big circle to come pick you up, and it got a little squirrely,
Yeah.
and then we're going slow, so it caught traction. We're good again, but there's a giant skating rink. Like if you are in Columbus and have ice skates on you,
Yeah. Stop by the yard.
it's an option.
Yep.
And it's thick. It ain't like
is
a
thick.
little
Very
sheet of
thick.
ice.
It is
It
thick.
is.
It's thick.
It's 2 or 3 inches of ice.
Yeah. No, it's
I've
not
t-
super smooth.
It's not.
But
It's,
come out, have fun.
yeah.
Toe pick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get the video camera set up and come have fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's
there's
supposed to warm up
there's no insurance
here
for you
in
if
the
you
next
get hurt.
5
so,
to 7 days.
no.
So
Next Wednesday. It's
I
supposed to
told
be
Don.
freezing. Yeah.
It did not feel good. I'm still hurting today. However, had there been a camera rolling, everybody would be laughing at this point because it was like a cartoon, both feet at the same time.
And the liquid.
Yeah.
Oh man, I
I'm
did that.
sorry, Jerry.
I'm sorry, Jerry. I did that as a kid. I used to wear cowboy boots to church. I did, and I was I was in like middle school, so way too old for this. But I was running around the church chasing one of my friends, and they had that really nice industrial linoleum floor,
Yeah.
and they had it polished nice and pretty because church. And I just stepped wrong, and both feet flew up. I flew up in the air. I tell you, I flew up 3 feet in the air, like higher than I was 9 foot in the air. And I slammed down on my, and it took the breath out of me. And I know, like, oh, that's such a, and then it hit my head too. My head was
Oh,
killing me.
ouch.
The
did
rest
you lay
of the
there
day,
a hot
too.
moment?
Ouch.
Oh, I laid there a hot moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also not
That's
safe.
when you do that body evaluation of like,
The 360 point check?
yeah, like what's going to
Yeah.
move and what's not going to
Yeah.
move when I start getting myself back.
I mean, you had to be thinking like, am I about to call Vince to come pick me up, or
Did you at least have your phone still on your person?
well, he has his
It was
watch.
in my pocket.
That's good.
Not your back pocket.
I actually have fall detection turned off.
Not anymore.
Boy, there's that.
Go figure.
It's that thing where you realize, oh, I'm getting old. You have to turn fall detection on.
I tell my mom all the time, make sure you keep that on. I need to do it.
Wow. I'm glad you're okay.
I'm glad you're okay.
Minus a couple
I am
bumps
too.
and bruises.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're sore. I hate that for you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Outer Belt Podcast. I am Patrick, and you all know my friends.
Chili.
Buttermilk.
Eric.
Zucchini bread.
And Jerry.
And I'm Patrick. Again, for the second time.
In case you forgot
In case
already.
you forgot. It's a big group.
Yep.
I thought we were doing like Ring Around the Roses in a
We might a pocket
And-
full of hoses. What's it called?
Yeah,
in like a
Bucket full of.
or row your boat
Posies.
around. I thought we were gonna do it like in a round.
No, gently down the stream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Oh my
I really
gosh.
don't. But we got to get to it. Right to it. Vince, you got the first article up. The DOT has said some stuff about drug testing.
Yeah, so the DOT is keeping the required drug testing limit for carriers at 50% of the fleet for the year. Now, what's that mean?
I don't know.
It
Pray
means
tell.
that carriers are required to perform random drug screens on at least 50% of the fleet. Now, it doesn't mean that 50% of the people will get this drug screening. It just means if you have 100 drivers in your fleet, you have to perform at least 50 drug screens.
So one person could get all 50 in
One
theory,
person
even
in theory could
even
get
though
all
it's
50.
random.
Yeah.
Say 50 randoms.
50 randoms, because so 50% of your
Yes.
fleet has to be drug tested.
Wow.
And then there's another limit for alcohol testing remains at 10% of
Yes.
your fleet.
Yep.
Okay. That actually, it went to that number of 50%.
I think it was,
Was it
2020.
2020?
Yep.
And so it remains there. So the way the rules are changed, they're required to increase the random drug test rate from 25 to 50% following any calendar year during which the reported positive drug test rate is equal to or greater than 1%. That was a rule that was laid out back in 2001 in the FMCSA final rule entitled Controlled Substances and Alcohol Use and Testing. So that's how they come up with this number. It's not just random. It's based on historical positives, and that's where they go to the 50%.
Absolutely. And to put that in perspective, in 2016, the positive drug usage was 0.8%.
Mhm.
And in 0.7 in 2017 it was 0.8, and then 2018 was the year we hit 1%.
Yeah.
Of course, by the time they already got that, they were already in 19, so they just rolled out in 2020.
Right.
I remember when this happened, man. It was like drug tests started happening like crazy all
Yeah.
of a sudden.
Yeah.
In the number of people that would get repeat drug tests went through the roof.
I've been one of those.
So the way these random drug tests happen, I'm sure a lot of people go like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure it's random." Right?
Yeah.
No, it really is. So the big, large companies have a software system that has all the drivers in there, and it randomly pulls out, depending on the size of the carrier, like someone like FedEx, I think it's 5 or 10 names a day that they get, and they have to go get those people drug tested, right? The other companies that aren't necessarily large enough to have that ridiculously expensive software system, that are smaller, they'll join what's called a consortium. And so this consortium handles the drug testing and everything for the fleet.
Right.
So like if we don't do drug testing, it's not our business model, the carriers handle that. But if we were to do it, our fleet is small enough that we would not be paying to do this ourselves. We would hire a consortium,
Sure.
join the consortium, and then the consortium would actually send us the names. And so we'd wake up in the morning to an email that said, hey, we need you to pluck this driver and get them drug tested. And once we did that, they would then they would probably ask us, honestly, for their information. And then the
Right.
consortium would
Would
actually
contact,
reach out,
yeah.
contact, and make it happen, which is nice because it keeps us clean. So
Sure.
we're completely out of it. There's no way we could falsify anything.
Right. And the
So it
consortium
doesn't
then
go in
takes
a
care
hat?
of
Oh, sorry.
the consortium then takes care of all the paperwork, the backside paperwork as well.
It does.
So it's not it's not just that expensive software package, but it's handling all the bureaucracy of the paperwork.
Yep.
That consortium takes care of all that. So basically, no, it's not going into a literal hat, but all the names are
kind of.
jumbled up, and
Yeah.
the computer picks one or two or whatever it is.
It's like we were talking last week about that 200 disc CD
CD
changer.
changer. Yeah.
If you if you set it to random, it would just randomly pull a song from each one. Every now and then you'd get a song from the same disc
Right.
back to back, or maybe like 3 or 4 plays later you get it again. It's the same thing. It's just a random generator
Yeah.
that pops them out.
Yep.
So, yeah, it stinks. I tell you what I like is our trucks are pretty much running under an owner-operator model, right, where the drivers own their own business and they lease the truck, right? They cover the price of they cover the burden of the cost of the drug test. So, like, getting it pulled for a drug test 2 or 3 times in a year sucks because you're paying for that. But what I love that FedEx and Panther do is if you get pulled so many times, which I think it's 3. Does that sound right, Jerry? I think it's 3.
That's the last
3
I
or
heard.
4.
It's either 3 or 4. Once you get pulled that many times, they don't charge you anymore. So, like, if you did get the unlucky hat where you got pulled 5 times in 1 year, and trust me, that happens, your last 2 are on the house.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
at least
Wish
they...
that worked the same way at a bar.
I know, right?
We need your
Not when you're
sample,
driving,
but
'cause
it's
10
on the house.
Not
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
driving, because 10%
Not when
people
you're driving,
get
of course.
pulled in
Yep.
for that as well. But it also explains why we have so many drug testing charges and very few drug and alcohol. So and they do split it up. So every once in a while you'll get called in for an alcohol, but
Right.
it's kind of rare. It's usually just a drug test. So
Does the article say the number of people that test positive for alcohol?
it doesn't. It's really concerned mostly about the drug policy. I think, when it comes to alcohol and you're being impaired, especially driving a vehicle of that size, it's pretty easy to catch them in a DUI. So I think they're kind of allowing that process to happen. The vice versa of that, if you're on speed or something like that and you're driving, you may be doing fine,
Sure.
but you're still putting yourself and your truck and everybody at risk.
Right.
So that's really going to show up on a random drug test, because an officer can come up to your truck and you can be high as a kite, not high as a kite, but like on speed or something like that. Which, let's be real, truck drivers, most of it's speed or weed. That's kind of the two that it ends up being. If you're on speed, you're probably going to talk to the officer just fine. There's probably not going to be anything you do that'll be wrong. You'll be able to walk the line
Sure.
just fine and all that stuff. So it does really make drug testing part of it that shows that stuff. Of course, when they do it, a lot of times they catch those people in wrecks too, like a lot of bad wrecks. Then they'll go and find it. Oh, this guy's full of why does the word escape me?
Speed.
Methamphetamines.
Methamphetamines. Thank you. Yeah.
Heron.
Well, not really heroin, because that slows you down. It's hard to drive a truck when you can't keep your eyes open.
Really?
That's what I hear.
I remember my stepdad was a trucker, and he often, I don't remember this, I was young, but yellow jackets seemed to be the thing that truckers took back then, and I think that was an upper.
Yeah, probably.
Of course, they were
Oh.
doing paper logs at the time, so,
You'd have
that was a whole
Yeah.
I know.
But
thing,
that was legal.
yellow jackets were?
Well, okay,
There
hold
was
on.
over-the-counter version because I used to take them.
Yeah,
No,
but there
I don't
was.
think his were.
Yeah, I was gonna say there were yellow jackets they sold that were cute, and there were yellow jackets that were not. Just like Mary Jane, it's a delicious candy.
Delicious candy.
Delicious candy.
Yeah.
But I
Oh,
think
my
we also
goodness.
know that you can have another kind of Mary Jane that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick James sang about her.
He did. Way to bring it back. I remember there was a guy that I was hearing a story he was talking about, and he was an older gentleman. He was talking about running cross country solo.
Okay.
He would get his load in California, and they would give him bill of lading. They'd give him 5 toothpicks, and the toothpicks were soaked.
Yep.
Start his first log, start heading out. When he got tired, he'd drink his coffee. When he got tired again, he'd drink more coffee. When he got tired again, he'd take his first toothpick and stick it in his mouth, underneath his tongue, and just
Drive away.
Just drive and drive and drive and make it one shot cross country.
Wow.
Like,
Things were
that's
so different back then.
that's the kind of stuff that drug and alcohol testing
Yeah.
prevents.
Asterisks, we do not endorse the use of any methamphetamines or illegal substances.
That is correct. That is correct. That is a very quick way to getting booted out of a truck, losing your career, and getting arrested.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I mean, especially with the
Clearinghouse.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
really
it's
bad.
Yes.
You pop for a positive on that, and you have to go through all these steps. The carriers are required by law to turn you in to the clearinghouse. And actually, I don't think the carriers even do it. I believe it's the drug testing facilities that do. Once that happens, it's over, and it's like
You can't leave a place either until you give a sample.
correct.
So if you, for some reason, can't provide a sample or can't do it in a timely fashion and then that runs out or all of those are all reasons for them to report you, and it shows that you failed. So don't ever leave.
Don't ever
providing-
refuse. A
Don't
drug and alcohol
refuse.
test.
Yeah, you have 1 hour to get there once you're called.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they
2
do.
hours.
But they do give you a certain amount of time. Like if you didn't drink enough water, most clinics give you like another hour once you actually arrive to
Oh yeah.
make
Sure.
Well, it's
production
an hour to
of
check.
something
It's an hour to check in.
to get there and check in.
Yeah. So once you've checked in, then it's the clinic's leisure. I mean, I
Right.
think we've all been there. Well, maybe you'll have. You check in within your hour, and then you sit 4 hours
Because they
waiting
have
to get
people.
because they're so backed up
Yeah.
to then
Right.
get you in. Because a lot of those places, drug testing places, but also labs, so there'll be other people going in to get like just blood work drawn
Sure.
and stuff.
Yeah.
There's other places that are more urgent care-ish,
Yes.
and so they're
Yes.
literally handling emergencies, and your drug test comes in second. So
Yep.
it's
Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave.
I
Have your
remember-
food Ubered in. Have your coffee Ubered in.
Absolutely.
Whatever you need. Uber Eats.
Usually smells like
Yep.
coffee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't leave
Yep.
until you provide a sample.
Absolutely. It's a and even if it's like, well, I'm over this. Okay, still do your
Still
drug
do your
test.
drug test. Yeah. Still
Don't-
do it.
And,
Don't
unless
close-
you're like, I'm over this job.
Because well,
Well,
that's what I'm
not
saying.
even that though. Yeah.
No, because
Because in-
that goes on your clearinghouse,
Yes.
and you won't be able to get another
So
trucking
in-
job.
And other
It-
carriers are
Right.
required to query the
Yes.
clearinghouse before they hire you.
So in
Yep.
4 years, when you go and show up and you're like, or when you're like, all right, you know what? I do want to get back out there on the road. Life's changed. Things are different, and it's like, yeah, let me do it again. Boy, you go there and they pull you up in the clearinghouse. It's game over.
Yeah.
Now you got to find a SAP, which is like a secondary. You've done these courses and stuff to be able to
It's like a diversion
drive.
class.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so they make you got to find a carrier that'll accept it, which
Yep.
neither one of our carriers do. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. Go ahead and get that drug test done, even if it's like I'm done after this. Like I think of like people that had wrecks. I know some people that have had accidents before, and they were required to go get a drug test and didn't want to go do it and had to be talked into it. And one person in particular I'm thinking of didn't go at all. And it's like, don't do that. If you are clean, go and get your
Go
drug
get your
test
drug
done.
test.
If you're not clean, go and get your drug test done, because then at least you have ways to take those courses, do
The
the
clock starts
remediation.
ticking.
Yes, the clock starts ticking. You have ways to get that cleaned up. It doesn't ruin your career. Now, if you're not clean, please quit doing whatever you're doing. Like, that's not a good way to run a truck. There's nothing out there that's worth it.
Caffeine
Very true.
and sleep.
Caffeine and sleep,
Yeah.
that's the way to go. We have a situation brewing in the East.
Snow, cold,
Teemu.
That's
Beer,
south.
beer.
brewing.
Teemu and Shein.
Ooh,
Oh my.
I'm not sure if you've heard, or is it Shein or Shein?
it's Sheen.
Shein, okay. I don't know if you've heard of these companies. They're small, very tiny companies out of China. And, I'm sorry, China. And they are, they are growing like crazy. And the reason they are growing is because a few years ago, they put a law in that said small value items coming
Correction.
from
Who put the law in?
America, the U.S. government put a law in saying that small value parcels and merchandise coming from any country into America, if it's under $800, it was lower than that, but it got bumped to $800, then they are exempt from duty and tax payments, so they can come in the country free. Like, you don't have to pay tax or anything on it. And by doing this, they inadvertently opened up the world to more e-commerce coming into the country. And the reason they did this was there were so many packages coming into the country, and the Department of Customs, CFP, whatever it is, They were so in the weeds. They weren't able to check as much as they needed to check. They were having a lot of issues that they went ahead and said, all right, well, all these massive amounts of small value packages, just let them in the country. We'll focus on the big stuff, right? Like, who cares about a little tiny package?
Right.
We want to stop people from smuggling in Rolls Royces full of Coke, things like that. That was their goal. That's what they did. And then you see, I think originally, probably the first big one after they did this was Wish and Alibaba. Like, they really grew quickly.
I remember Wish. Is Wish not still a thing?
I don't know if Wish is still a thing.
No,
I don't.
know.
Temu's now it.
I
huh?
don't use any of them.
I don't either.
So it's hard for me to say. I don't say that as like to pat myself on the back. I don't use them. I just never have.
Right.
I've never been to Bloomingdale's. I'm not opposed to it. I just never have. So same thing with these.
Right.
So these companies realize, hey, there's a huge market in America. We can fly this cargo into America. We don't have to pay taxes or duties on it. And by doing so, in keeping all the parcels small, so if you order $1,000 from Temu, that'd be like a container.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
but if you did, they could break it down into small boxes and send them individually, and they're all under that $800
Right.
mark.
Yep.
And so they're able to skip a lot of this jurisdiction and all this hoopla. So eventually, the American government has caught up to what's happening. 61% of all merchandise coming from this this discount program that they put in is coming from China. Everybody else is pretty much doing it right, and they only send little stuff here every now and then. But China is by far the one taking the most advantage of this loophole.
Wow.
And so what they are proposing is to take China off the list of places that they can do this.
Ooh, that's going to hurt Temu.
It's going to force Temu to build a warehouse in America and Shein to build a warehouse in America so they can ship it over on a container ship and then break it apart here in America and parcel
and
it out.
distribute it from there.
Wow.
So that is currently in process to be discussed. They're going through all the discussion processes. It's got to go through several hearings, all that stuff before it can actually
People
happen.
really need all that stuff.
Well, that's part of what they're saying.
Like,
they're saying that a
Why
lot
do
of
we need all of those?
well, for one, it's cheap. So that's helpful to a lot of
know.
families. But they are saying because of this, there's nothing enforcing all these items coming from China to be the U.S. standards of safety. So there's kids' toys coming with lead paint. There's fabrics that'll make you break out as soon as you put them on. There's like some serious health concerns there with it. There's also just they feel like there's the abuse of the legal loophole, right? And then also, I mean, it's no secret. The new administration just came into office, and they want to tariff China, and this is a way that they are getting their goods in the country tariff-free.
Right.
Sure.
The
So
interesting thing, though, is that the changes were made under the Biden administration.
it was
just last week, but they think it's going to be a lot worse. It could be worse under Trump because of the tariff threats. Interesting fact, stat that I found here was they call these de minimis shipments.
yes.
In 2015, there were 134 million per year. In 2024, that number jumped to more than 1 billion pieces.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And was it Teemu or Shein where somebody was getting scorpions? Wasn't somebody sending scorpions in the packaging?
Oh, I
Oh,
don't
yes,
Now I'm gonna have
yes.
to look.
Yeah, I did see that. I saw that
Yeah.
on. Yeah, I don't remember which one it was, but yes.
I thought it was one of the two.
know. Like live scorpions?
Were coming in the packages. Yeah, they got like
Were they ordering scorpions, or
no,
they just
Or
showed
they
up
just
on
happened
accident?
to be in the package when the people would get them.
Ooh.
It can happen. I remember when they were reactivating all those A380s. So back in the middle of the height of the pandemic, all these airlines parked all these huge planes. The A380 is the largest airplane in the world, as far as passengers are concerned. And so they were like parking all these planes in the desert. We have no use for them. People aren't flying. What's the point of having them? Lufthansa said we're not going to fly them anymore. Air France quit flying them. Well, actually, that's not true. Air France quit a couple of years earlier, but British Airways parked them, said we're going to fly them again, but they parked them. Qantas parked their entire fleet of these giant airplanes. No one's flying. We don't need them. They're very expensive to fly. You have to have a lot of people to fill them up. And so they parked them in the desert. So when we got out of the pandemic and the world exploded, then everybody wanted to go travel and do things. They started taking these planes back. Lufthansa completely changed their mind on it, which blew everybody away. Nobody saw that coming. And they started putting these things back in the air. Well, to do that, they have to go through a big check. They have to go through and check everything, make sure
Make sure it's airworthy.
It's airworthy, exactly. And you know what they started finding in the planes?
Scorpions.
Snakes.
Ooh, snakes.
Snakes
on a plane.
Snakes on a
Snakes on a
plane.
plane. I'm sure there are quite a few maintenance technicians going through these planes,
Every
and
inch.
after a couple of days saying, "I'm sick of these
Snakes.
on
the plane.
on this plane."
Hollywood
Yeah,
is
sure.
onto something.
Yeah,
Yes,
they were.
They were.
They were.
A little too
Yeah,
soon.
too
They were a little
soon.
premature, but
Yeah, but
no. So it doesn't surprise me. Like, I've heard of people ordering stuff across America, getting packages that have dead roaches and things like that in there, which just freaked me out.
Makes you wonder
Uh,
about the environment where they came from.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not intentional. That's
Yeah.
just standard procedure.
I have no
I know.
desire to order from Teemu. Now, Shein, on
We
the
have
other hand,
Amazon.
there's things from
Right.
Shein, but then I'm like afraid to do Shein, so I'll like go to Amazon and try to do the
similar
type thing that I might want. Talking about clothing.
And you pay 10 times more on Amazon.
do.
Yeah,
So
and you
it's
think you're
12.
getting a
So it's
deal.
$12.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Exactly.
But I just
And have it here tomorrow.
And
Or
besides that-
tonight.
Shein, you have to do your measurements. You have to. Okay, I'm a size whatever, but I have to go 8 times larger.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes your confidence
you
level
don't.
Yeah.
tank. So it's just not worth.
Which is opposite of what American clothes companies are actually making the clothes bigger.
yes, I like that.
Like a size 36 jeans
Yeah, as a size
is
44,
a size
really.
40 day.
So there were actually multiple reports of scorpions found in Shein packages. So it was Shein.
Nice.
Yes, and they identified them as Chinese scorpions.
Maybe I like the scorpion pet.
Yeah, maybe.
Get
Just
your
you
ter- your
aqua-
ter-
my
ter- terranium-
aquarium terrain.
Yeah.
Terranium started.
You just don't want to open the package and have it surprise you.
Yeah. And remember, people, baby scorpions are more dangerous than mama scorpion. Same with snakes. If you run across a snake in the wild and it bites you, pray it's a senior adult. The adults know how to control their venom, so they're only going to put enough venom in you to
Immobilize you.
you. Kids don't. They just
Go for it.
go for it, and
Yep.
you end up killing you.
Giving
Sounds
you all
so
I got.
familiar.
What?
Wow,
I mean,
we
it's
are
just
a
in general,
walk
right? Like,
advertisement.
Kids try to kill you
kids don't
too.
have
Yeah,
as much
they don't.
control
Yes.
usually.
Oh. So the last thing I was going to say about the situation is
Teemu and Shein.
Teemu and
yes.
Shein and the Chinese being blocked off from this.
Yes.
Again, it's still in debate, so it may not even happen, but it is something
All
they're
these
talking
people
about.
are trying to get their orders in right now.
It is something they're talking about, and with the administration we have, it wouldn't surprise me if it does get pushed through. But we've talked about before how they're building that huge city in Mexico where they're building all this Chinese stuff so that it can be shipped across the country, and it's from Mexico. It's not from China.
Yeah.
So that's still going on, but the Mexican government last month, so we are talking December, they changed their trade rules on apparel, effectively ending border skipping strategy. So what it means is what these companies are doing, we're sending from China to Mexico. Mexico is taking them off the truck or off the airplane and then shipping them into the country, into U.S., and saying, this is from Mexico. It's not from China. And Mexico just did ended their rules or changed the rules saying that when it comes to apparel, you can't do that anymore. So they will not. It's not going to be a place for Temu or Shein to go like, oh, we'll just move our stuff to. We'll add one stop and get it over
Yeah.
there. They're not allowing it.
You don't want to get
So-
caught in the middle of that.
Exactly. I think the Mexican government saw what's happening. They saw Trump back in office, and they're like, no, we're good. We don't
Yeah.
need that. You want to bring your people here, and you want to build your plants, and you want to contribute to Mexican tax dollars? Sure. But you're not using us as a front to get your
As
products
a
into the
throwaway.
country.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was interesting that they did make that change. They did also talk about the fact that the average shipment is $54 in value, and that the CBP, which is the border agents and the customs agents, they are already severely understaffed. So if this does go forth, how are they going to handle the influx of packages
Sure.
already being extremely understaffed? So it's interesting. I'm anxious to see what happens, and then how does Teemu and Shein, do they just disappear? Like,
Has anybody in this room bought from either one?
Negative.
No.
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 no, I haven't, but I have a lot of friends that have. So in fairness, I know people that have, and they've had great success with it. So the lead times take forever. When you order it, it takes a long time to get to you.
Sure.
But then when they get it, I've heard that it's good quality. Eric and I have been on, as y'all know, we travel a lot, so we've been on several cruises where
You've
people.
seen Shein?
We've seen Shein, and we've talked to people who are like, yeah, we got this bathing suits from Teemu. We ordered them, 3-4 months ago, and this cruise is the first time, wearing them or whatever. So it's like, it's out there, and some of it doesn't look bad. It's just they're finding ways to circumvent American safety standards. That's where I'm like, I don't want to buy something, put it on, and find out that
Sure.
I now have a permanent scar on my body for the rest of my life, or whatever, or materials that's extremely flammable, so you get kind of
Right.
close to a heater and catch on fire. That kind of stuff makes me nervous. I certainly wouldn't buy a child toy from there.
No.
Just not. And it's not saying that they're all bad. Some are great. The problem is you have no way to vet
No idea.
the good
Yeah.
ones from the bad ones.
Really no.
Makes sense.
So
So one time, I'm proud to say, I have my Amazon.
Yeah.
My U.S. Amazon.
and Amazon
They have a standard to withhold.
and
Makes
they're
it safer.
and they're very strict. If you ever talk to someone who does business with Amazon, they will tell you Amazon is super strict and very difficult to work with, which makes it a good thing. I think.
I've ordered some stuff from there that were extremely like homemade stuff, and they were just marketing with Amazon to get their stuff out. The wreath I had for Day of the Dead,
Mm-hmm.
that was homemade. So I don't. Amazon also does home.
They do. They
Kind
use,
of a
they-
consignment
they do
sort of
small
thing.
sellers.
consignment.
do
Yeah,
small-
so
they-
it's not
yeah.
just pump
Big name
manufactured stuff
Sure.
that just
absolutely.
pump it out,
Yeah.
deliver it, pump it out, deliver it. This is also people at their houses who are making homegrown stuff and delivering it.
Amazon will actually highlight minority-owned, women-owned businesses as well
That's
as
great.
crafts and things of that nature that aren't mass-produced but are smaller productions. So they'll actually work with those
I like Etsy.
those folks.
And I was
too.
going to say
I use Etsy a lot.
I was just about to say I don't think it's all noble. I do think they see the success of Etsy
sure.
and say, "Hey, we want
Sure.
in on some of that."
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's the beauty of I'm a capitalist. It's the beauty of capitalism. If you see something that's working well,
Yeah.
then
Sort it.
You can
or say it and then sort it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
And if it's good, try to get in on it.
try to get in
Help
on
it out.
I've ordered
Absolutely.
quite a bit off of Etsy actually over the
Yeah,
years.
I've-
I've done the peacock feathers for my birthday outfit
Mm-hmm.
for the peacocks. I've done last year, the year I wore my camo outfit, I
Yeah,
did the
last year.
tattoos. Lady was so helpful because I wanted specific stick-on tattoos, not just the ones you use water washcloth. What else have I done? Done a custom mug for a Christmas present. So I've
Yeah. Lots
I've
of
done
stuff.
I've used it quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And people are always so personable, but that's more like a local mom pop business, though, I think, behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, and I've done the same thing through Etsy, but also through Amazon. We did a big Ditos Muertos thing for the mentor retreat, which y'all may have seen the videos from last year about, and we did a altar for, which is where you celebrate those that have passed before you. It's not like a
Commemorative?
Commemorative altar.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
the people of you lost.
It's so
in the
funny.
past.
When I first said we're going to do this, I had a couple people be like, "We're not worshiping Satan, are we?" And I'm like, "No, it's nothing
No.
like that."
Literally,
It's-
we had some people thought it was witchcraft.
yes, and
Not
it's like,
Satan, Beelzebub.
oh my gosh, no, it's all. Oh jeez, it's all about just keeping the memory. If you've seen Coco, the movie,
Yeah,
you
the
know what I'm
movie
talking about.
Coco.
But it's about just
Great
keeping the memory
movie.
of your past
Great movie.
relatives that have passed on. So, like, picture my mom went up there, my grandpa, things like that. People that I want to remember. And it's very sweet. And but I ordered some stuff from that, and from Amazon, and when I got it, the sugar skull was handmade in Mexico, and a couple other things were local to Mexico and handcrafted, and that was really cool to get because
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I was expecting, honestly, they said what they said, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be Chinese stuff. and it wasn't. It was really handcrafted.
You're
stuff,
thinking
and it was-
Halloween or the Spirit Store,
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I
Spirit
said.
Store
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if these things go through. What happens?
Interesting.
Absolutely. Vince, you had another article you want to share with us real quick that I've read it like 3 times and I think I understand, but I am still a little confused exactly what it means. And I thought you could walk us through it. It sounds like a great thing, but I'm still a little confused.
Is this the article about the new rest area
It is.
where Ohio is doing a lot to revamp their rest areas?
Ooh,
Can we?
Raphael.
Can
Can we?
travel
Can we?
through,
Yeah.
you-
It's a long
Yeah,
drive between
it's-
Indianapolis and home
Yeah.
before a
They're-
bathroom.
They're doing a
happens.
lot to do every rest area all at once.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are screwed if
Exactly.
you need one
Yep.
Oh,
right
they-
now.
you
Every single one.
don't
it
drink
seems like, has
coffee or
been
water
open.
through the state of Ohio.
Right. But they did just reopen one on I-71 between Columbus and Cincinnati that's been closed for quite some time.
Oh, that's right off the bridge, out of the gorge.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, yeah,
I think it is. It's the northbound rest area
You
before
said
the gorge.
Cincinnati?
before the gorge. It's between Columbus and Cincinnati.
Okay.
on
So it's before the
I-71 in Fayette
gorge,
County.
right there on the right hand side, and then
Yep.
after that you get on the bridge. Yeah.
So the Ohio Department of Transportation and the Ohio Department of Disabilities and an organization called Changing Spaces Ohio created this first installment in a rest area with a universal changing station. So what this looks like to me is that they, instead of having the changing station inside of the men's restroom and the women's restroom
For babies.
for babies, changing babies, it looks like they have actually created a special dedicated room with the changing station. So you have a little privacy, and you're not changing baby out in the middle of
I thought
the
that's
It
what
sounded
the-
like it was more than just babies.
may
so
have-
it's
I think so,
for
too.
developmental adults that maybe need a little more extra
Oh, I'm
privacy.
like, I thought that was always what the middle restroom that
And
goes
it is.
either way goes, and it had a changing
And-
table.
Well,
like
the
the
family
family
restroom.
The family
Yeah,
restroom.
this one does improve travel for adults with developmental disabilities as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is this for families who have loved ones who can't use the restroom on their own or something? Like, there's adults that have diapers because they can't
Right.
control their facilities
Right.
or whatever. That this is a place for them to be able to clean that up and help them. Because I never thought about before reading this article. Honestly, is it make me a bad person? I don't know. I never thought about that. Like, I've known there's people that like can't control for
Sure.
whatever reason. Some
Whatever
people
reason,
it's surgery. So I've heard of people, women who have had pregnancies, and during the pregnancy they do is it a episiotomy?
Episiotomy,
And
mhm.
sometimes after that, there's a condition that can
Control
happen
issue.
with controlling,
Mhm.
and so certainly that's a thing. I've also known people that have really low functioning autism or Down syndrome or things like that.
Right.
That can't.
How about just elderly
Are-
who might need it?
Sure.
Sure.
So I've known about that, but I've never thought to myself, how do you take a drive
Yeah.
then?
There's a quote in this article from the Columbus Dispatch from Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. He says, "This is a private family restroom that provides a clean, safe area for people with disabilities and medical conditions and their caregivers to tend to their needs."
Nice.
It's
So
really nice.
we're being all
So I wonder if
inclusive
it's
here.
bigger, maybe has some bench seating.
would
Because
hope
I know
so.
the
That's what I'm
family
wondering.
bathrooms don't necessarily have it. It's just really a toilet sink and the changing table.
Right.
Yeah.
But I could see more of a where you can get somebody in, maybe actually sit them almost like a love shower without maybe the shower. A bench.
Well, and I know I've been in bathrooms, facilities, where they do have that. It's like the toilet is kind of curtained off and they have a shower thing in case you are
To-
either of a size or a incapability that you cannot wipe or clean yourself well, that you can use that.
so like a jumbo bidet.
Kind of, yeah.
So this initiative also, they've installed universal charging stations in 136 different locations in 42 Ohio counties, including libraries, zoos, fairgrounds, and community centers. And they're looking to install more stations in public spaces. This is the first one in a rest area at this point.
Nice.
That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
So
That's
they're encouraging people to get out.
Yes,
So you don't have to time things like we only have an hour.
right. We got to get out and come back right
Get
away.
out and come back right away.
Yeah, you have somewhere you can go and have these facilities available to you
Because you might be a
outside
while.
the house. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
I think so too. It's crazy. It's one of those things that like I've never really thought about. Again, like I
Yeah.
said, it's just never come across my privy. But now that I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, why we should have had these long
This
time
isn't
ago.
the reason that they're revamping them, right? Though.
Well, what, can we say revamp's a strong word? They've torn them to the ground.
Yeah.
exactly.
Rebuilding.
So-
They're rebuilding them.
Rebuilding, but this, I think it was just time.
I think it was time.
It was definitely time.
And, and if you're going to do it, what are the what
Sure.
are extras
What
we can
What
add?
can we do to make
Exactly.
to improve
Okay.
them? Not just tearing them down and rebuilding.
I did
'cause
think it
we
was
need
odd that it
new brick. but
feels
tearing
like-
them down and rebuilding because we want to make changes still.
Yeah, feels
Yeah.
like all of Ohio's.
All of
Yeah.
them. They're
Seriously?
they've all been torn down.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I've
Yeah.
never kind of like you ever seen when they're
They kind of alternate them. I thought they used to.
I thought so too. Like, or have one crew that just does one, then goes to the next, does it, then goes to the next. Like, I remember thinking years ago, like when I was traveling down the road and they were doing road construction, and you know what it is. You're like on a single lane on the interstate for miles, and nothing's being done.
Sure.
And then finally you get up to the road construction, they're doing it there, and it's like, why don't you just, if you're going to rebuild it in little sections,
Yeah. Why is
adjust the
all of that
cones
closed? Yeah.
accordingly. Like, why do we
Yeah.
have to shut the whole thing
Because
down
For the last
that?
5
You have
miles.
to get the equipment that does this. So you get all the grading done. Then you get rid of that equipment. Then you get the equipment that comes in that smooths it all out and flattens it all in and whatever the process is.
What's the old joke? There was the construction crew, and they were going through, and one guy was, digging up holes, and the guy behind him, a little ways, was filling them back in, and they were like, "Hey, what's going on? What are y'all digging these holes and filling them in?" He's like, "Yeah, the guy that plants the trees, he's off today." So like,
That's good.
That's
That's
awesome.
good.
but yeah, so it always, every time they do a project like this, they take everything out all at once. I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. That means when it's done, everything will be done really fast.
Sure.
But at the same time, it's super inconvenient for those few.
Truly.
The one
Truly is.
east on 70, I wonder if that one's, I mean, that's a pretty new one anyway. Past Loves. There's a really huge one where you have to loop-de-loo and loop-de-loo back out.
Yeah, I haven't been out east that way in a long time.
It's been a hot moment.
I
Is
for
think
that-
me.
the first one
is that
north,
one in Ohio or is that one in Indiana?
No, east.
east,
Pennsylvania.
past the Loves.
Out-
Oh, like
out
towards
past
Zanesville.
Yes.
Oh, I
there's
haven't
that
got that
really
way in-
fancy
yeah, it's been a
one.
while.
It's been a couple years
Yeah,
for
I
me.
know. Yeah. So, anyways, that one was a newer one anyway compared to, I think, everything
Yeah.
that we've passed.
I think the first one north on 71, is that first one still open? I think no. Or,
I think that's the one that
I'm
just
looking
reopened.
at Jerry because no, this is the one that just reopened is south
Oh.
in Cincinnati.
I couldn't tell you. I don't
Yeah.
ever pay attention.
There's two going north to Medina.
There are.
Yeah.
North, and then
Right.
on the way back.
There's
Just
like
one?
truck parking and just one. Yeah.
Can we say how much I appreciate they have them? Because in
Yes.
Louisiana,
Definitely.
our governor went through and sold all of them.
The
Literally.
rest
even at the
areas?
even at the state
the-
lines, they closed their introductory rest areas
What?
to Louisiana.
So you
Well,
have
some
no
of them were
welcome
closed.
I remember coming into
Right?
Louisiana, going westbound, and stopping right at one on the border, the Welcome Center there.
The Welcome Center, yep.
And there's the building, and the restrooms are behind the building.
Correct, yeah.
And I had to pee. But before I could go to the restrooms, I had to give the lady my zip code.
Yes.
And I'm like, I just got to pee. I just need your zip code.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, bless your heart. Yeah, I had to give her my zip code, and it took forever for her to understand what I was saying.
I remember years ago.
You're like, I'm just going to go right
Yeah,
here.
I'm just gonna-
Clean up on aisle
Yeah.
4.
So
Yeah.
so the last time I drove to Louisiana, which it's been a couple years, the welcome centers were still open, but all the rest areas were gone. I mean, like several of the rest areas
So what's
are like
the difference?
shopping centers now. What?
Rest areas and
So the rest area, like I'm trying to think, on I-12 when you're heading between Hammond, Louisiana, and Slidell or the state line with Mississippi, there was one about halfway through there.
There's nothing now.
outside of Madisonville. It's a shopping center. So on either side, where the rest area used to be,
Right.
on both sides, they had a rest area on each side. They now are roads that they're like exits to go straight into the shopping center.
Yeah.
It's
I hate
crazy
that's
thing in
one
the
of
world.
I guess
There's
what
a
I
few
was
roads
trying to
I
get
hate,
at-
and I-12 is one of them. There's nothing. It's just a desolate
There used to
stretch
be.
of dark nothingness
When I
you're
grew
the
up,
night
there
driver.
were. That's what's so crazy
I think
about
what I
it.
was trying to get at, the difference between a welcome center and a rest area. Welcome centers are at the state line, which Louisiana
Yes.
is keeping most of those. But the rest areas, which are in the middle of the state, they were kind of getting rid of those.
Yeah, they pretty much gotten rid of all. The only one I know.
So at the state line, you'll have a welcome center where you can use
Correct.
restroom, learn
and you
about the
get some
state,
and get some
whatever, but
brochures about the state
Sure.
and find
learn
hotels.
about the state. But
Yeah.
going through the state,
No bathroom.
I think
No
the difference
bathrooms.
is
I think- Go ahead.
I think the welcome centers are paid for by the like
Chamber of
Commerce,
Secretary of
tourism.
State tourism.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then the rest areas are paid for by the Department of Transportation, and those are what got scrapped. Even the one rest
Yeah,
area I
okay.
know that's still open, or I think is still open, which is on 49 once you go north of Lafayette. There's a rest area outside of Opelousas. I believe it's actually attached to a state park, and I think the state park keeps it going. And it's
Interesting.
it's on a huge lake, so
Interesting.
I think that's why it's
Yeah.
still going.
yeah,
But
that
anything
makes sense.
anything with DOT, like there was a while there where Louisiana was in a really bad deficit. We needed money desperately, and so the governor, Bobby Jindal, went in there and he sold off all the jails, privatized all the jails, privatized a lot of stuff, sold off a bunch of this excess property rest areas, non-critical places, shut down a bunch of hospitals.
Wow.
Yes, did it work? It got Louisiana back to being on the right side of the budget, but it severely hurt the impact of the people in the state.
Sure.
So, like, I don't know. That's a tough one because if the state loses too much money, it's going to have, problems. And we all know driving through Louisiana, the roads are crap. So they
Yes.
needed to figure something out.
Yes.
Nice thing about Louisiana, though, you can do it in just like a few hours. So one welcome center to the next state's welcome center.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can hold your bladder.
And what's great is, like, Texas Welcome Center is this nice,
Oh,
modern,
beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful
gorgeous.
place.
Whole ranch, you're
It's-
expecting to see
yeah.
cows and horses
Yes,
in the
well,
back.
but remember, if it's half, it's like the left side's range, the
We're
right
talking
side's
on
swamp.
I-10 though, right?
The right side's swamp.
Yep.
And they have that trail you can go walk through the swampland. It's really, really nice. And then you go the other side of the state, which is Mississippi. You walk in theirs. Theirs is set up like an old antebellum house. And I don't mean that in the racist way. I mean like in the architectural sense. It's an old antebellum house. It's beautiful on the inside. They got all the antique furniture. The floor is brick. Is it brick? I think it's a brick floor. It's really, really nice. And it's like, then you go to Louisiana, and they've got the stainless steel urinals that the Angola
the
State
prisons
Penitentiary built.
Yeah.
No, the prisoners made them.
with no
So,
seats.
okay.
So Angola,
With no seats.
Angola has
Well,
a
the seats built in.
Okay.
Sure.
It's just a bowl.
Yeah.
Angola
From people
is
who
the
don't have to sit down as often.
is the maximum security prison in Louisiana. It's it's a bad place, but they do have a lot of manufacturing and a lot of jobs there. People work, and one of them is to make
The
that
toilet.
stuff. They
Oh,
make.
that's
You get your
nice.
hover skills or your squat skills in.
Exactly.
It's
those
just
toilets.
so
toilets,
embarrassing as
exercises.
someone from Louisiana. You're
Yeah.
like, welcome to Louisiana, the prison state. Like it's not a good look.
I think to Eric's point, though, in some states, a welcome center and a rest area, there's no difference. In other states, the welcome center is welcoming. They have lots of brochures and someone staffing it to give
Talk
you
to you.
information on the state and that kind of thing. But other states, it's just like, we're just a rest area.
They just
really.
have extra brochures sitting out.
Yeah,
and that's about
exactly.
it.
Well, I think the one
Exactly.
on the way back from Medina, just before you come into Columbus, it's got two buildings. One is the concessions, the vending machines,
Right.
and then the other one is the rest area. But even that's rather nice, just
Yeah.
because you get snacks if you need snacks.
Sure.
Alabama's outside of Tuscaloosa when you're going up 59, I think it is. Is it 59 or 20? 20. Is that 2059?
It might
I
be.
think it's a
2059,
combo
I think
interstate.
it is at that point.
Their rest area is really nice. The only thing that stinks about it is that it's uphill, every direction. Like they built the building on the top of a hill
I do remember
and
that
built all
one.
the parking around it, so you're
Oh,
going
you gotta
uphill
walk
no
up the
matter
hill to get
what.
to it, yeah.
But then once
Yeah.
you get in there, it's pleasant, and they have
Yeah.
people staffing it. But the best thing about the Mississippi Welcome Center, you haven't let me finish. Mississippi Welcome Center, as a kid, had fresh community coffee, So when you walked in there, and they still do, they still have that. When you walk in there, just the smell of wonderful tasting coffee just fills the air. And they also had a Coke, Sprite, Diet Coke, and root beer soda fountain, a 4-tap soda fountain.
Wow.
Soda
And
fountain.
so as a kid, you'd walk in there, and I'd be able to get my Coke.
Nice.
Wow.
And then drink my little Coke as I walk around the little place.
You know,
and
the rest areas in Florida, you can go in and get Coke too.
it's, well, yeah.
So
Do they still do orange juice? When I went to
No,
Florida
no.
years ago,
I've never seen orange juice in Florida. Just vending machines in the rest areas in
okay,
Florida.
no,
Just
that's
the
right.
vending
Just the
machines.
Welcome Center. I remember going to the Welcome Center as a kid.
No.
Going to Pensacola, you go to the Welcome Center, and they would have orange juice. Do you remember that, Jerry? You went to. Okay, yeah.
So in Oregon, I thought it was the coolest thing that if you pulled into a rest area, they had booths or a trailer, very small trailer, but they had like VFW. Typically, it was VFW, Veterans Foreign War. Sometimes I guess they'd have Cub Scouts, other little entities like that. But they'd be serving the coffee and the goods, and it would be on donation. And I've never seen that in any other state. In the 3 years we traveled, Oregon, like not just one rest area, like at least on the
Most
I-5
of 'em.
corridor,
Most
they
of 'em,
had
yeah.
they had an entity. Most of it, I think, was VFW.
It was a lot of volunteer organizations
Yes.
that were doing it for strictly donations.
But they would have maybe donuts if you got there early enough, and if it wasn't that, maybe they might have.
Yeah.
And their vending machines were still there,
Yeah.
but you had the opportunity, and it was nothing to rip you off. You know, most of it might have been donations. Sometimes they might say 50 cents for a cup of coffee or whatever. But
I don't recall ever seeing a price for it.
yeah,
Donations welcome, but never seeing a price for
maybe
it.
that's what it was. But I've never, and we did all 48 states.
Yeah.
I've never seen any other states
When
do
I
that,
went
and I
through-
thought it was the coolest thing.
When I went north on I-5 with my purse trainer out of Oregon, out of Central Point, Oregon, and we got to our first rest area, and he mentioned it was night, so they weren't there.
Yeah.
But he mentioned this is where you can get your coffee for a donation if you want, or free, whichever you want. I'm like, what? All I knew was California rest areas. You might go in there and get a free shiv, and they'll ask you for a donation for the shiving they just gave you.
Yeah.
But it blew me away. And again,
Or a
never
donation
seen it.
to not get the shiv.
Yes.
No.
No, you're
You
getting
got
that.
the shiv,
And typically these
and they took a donation out of your pocket.
Okay.
Typically, these were probably like, I would say 4 might be pretty early, but like 5, 6 a.m. in the
Yeah.
morning till 10, 11 in the morning. So they
Yeah.
were doing the morning shift, but just it was really just a cool thing that I thought that, that the Department of Transportation was permitting or allowing or in conjunction with
Yeah.
groups to
I-
make money.
I wasn't going to mention this earlier because I don't have all my facts straight on this. It's the one reason you don't see fast food restaurants or coffee shops in rest areas is because it's illegal. The Department of Transportation, when they fund rest areas on interstates, that you cannot have commerce there at the same time. Now, the reason you see restaurants on I-80 or going through tollways is because they are private tollways, and it's a different story.
Yeah.
But rest areas cannot legally have they have vending machines, but they can't have commerce in a rest area on an interstate.
Well, tollways don't take federal money.
That's the point. That's how they fund besides the tolls. So it's a different story.
Nice.
I think I just see a perfect SNL skit or something. They got the guys out there in the trailer. VFW save the homeless, take care of our war veterans.
Yes.
Get your coffee 50 cents, and just someone just walking by them, and the guy in the VFW trailer just staring at him. He goes over to the big coffee vending machine.
Yes.
Swipes his credit
Right?
card.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cup drops out.
Yeah.
It fills it up, and then he takes it, puts the lid on, and just walks by drinking the coffee. And they're just like,
Yeah.
it would have been free.
Yeah.
And I think they did things like tea, but they had all the goodies to go with it, and just
Lipton.
possibly.
Speaking of,
Oh, would be great? Girl Scout cookies. They'd sell a lot.
They
I would
would,
add-
but again, not allowed.
I think some of
Commerce.
them did do like the. Do you remember the generic big bags of, like the chocolate ones with the filling or the vanilla ones? They came in. They were kind of
My favorite.
flowery looking
yes.
sandwich
Yeah.
cookies,
Yes,
and they came in a.
yes.
You probably got them at the Dollar Tree. I
No,
doubt it
you
was
had
for...
them at Vacation Bible School as a
Yes,
kid.
they just were the
I
little
remember
flowery
those.
ones.
I remember those.
They weren't an Oreo.
My favorite were the cream cheese and strawberry ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think those
my
are
Again,
favorite.
great.
Catholic. I didn't have Vacation Bible School. I
Well-
didn't get those.
Heathen didn't go to Vacation Bible School.
Okay, I also had them at the Breck camp.
Yes.
When I went to Breck camp, which
Yes.
is Baton Rouge. And so the park system, it was Breck. I don't know what Baton Rouge Educational and Calisthenics. I have no idea what Breck stands for.
Let me-
Or they had
let
like
me-
the sticks,
let
the
me check
wafer
with Dawn.
sticks.
It is so funny that it's like Baton Rouge in Louisiana. You know, it's a state. I love Louisiana, but like politically, it's a nightmare, and there's a lot of issues in Louisiana still. And we sit back and we go, at least we're not Mississippi. But that's really all we can do. But they do have Baton Rouge has one of the best park systems in the nation, and they have one of the best library systems in the nation. It's
Well,
like,
there you go.
seriously,
Yeah.
how in the world did we end up with this? Like, people come in from all across the country to study our parks and library system. And it's like, how?
Yes, we have the
Interesting.
best
We've a-
parks
we've
and
a-
we have the best
We
library.
have a
Interesting.
failing education system.
For Gulf
Well, you
Coast,
got
South
libraries.
Louisiana.
We have libraries and we have parks. It's the craziest thing,
You could read your books in the park.
I guess. But
That could be
literacy is at the
nice.
all-time low, so
Wow.
we got some things to work on.
Great stories tonight, y'all.
It's been a lot of fun. The past week's been cold.
You think?
It's on the
Vince,
cooler
how co-
side.
Vince, how cold has it been? What was the coldest you've seen this week?
Wind chill,
Yes.
-12.
Oof.
What about heat wave?
Not 2. I think it was 2 yesterday morning.
Saturday was 39.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday
Yeah.
when we don't
Okay.
work. Okay.
Sure.
But we were
Well,
out
you
and
want-
about, and
you
it felt
want
like
your-
a heat wave.
You want your weekends warm. It's true.
You don't want your
That's what
weekends
I've
warm
always
when
been
you
told.
can have your free time.
Yeah. When you're staying in the
Leisure.
house,
Yep.
when you're staying in the house watching TV with a fire
Yep.
going, you want it to be warm outside. The
I was asked if I wanted to go on a motorcycle ride.
really?
Had it not been raining, I might have
By
considered
who?
it.
Oh, if it had not been raining, I wouldn't have offered. That was an offer that was made strictly because I knew it wasn't going to happen.
You never ask questions unless you know the
No
answers. right?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's hysterical. No, I woke up in Fort Wayne the other day and it was freaking 2 degrees outside. I think I posted online. I was like, "Who could beat this?" And no one could. I felt pretty good about that. Not gonna lie.
This is-
although I'm pretty sure Jerry would have had he taken a picture when he first got to the yard. Yes, sir.
This is very Louisiana-like. Recreation and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge, BREC, in parentheses.
Wait, say it again?
Recreation and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge, in parentheses, BREC.
So what does it stand for?
Right?
I'm looking it up right now and I'm like,
Yeah,
like
this
backwards.
is, this is bad publicity. I don't even know
I'm
what the hell
on
you
their
stand
website,
Don's fired.
BREC.org. Oh, this is what Don sent me. Don't fire me.
Okay.
He sent me the
All right.
information.
Okay,
He sent
okay,
me their
okay.
official website,
Okay.
BREC.org, and that there's nothing here that says anything. That's the only thing I found that has what looks to be a
Acronym.
Explanation.
an acronym.
Bat,
And
it's
just so
Baton,
y'all
Ru-
know-
Baton Rouge something something.
Economical
Recreation
community.
and Park Commission for the Parish of East Baton Rouge. And just so you guys know who are in Louisiana right now, all the BREC facilities are closed due to inclement weather.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, they are.
They are.
The whole Cajun country's
Yeah,
closed.
but this is what I'm seeing here. It's all closed. So
if you're gonna
don't-
go
don't
to
go
New
to a BREC
Orleans, you're gonna go to anything in New Orleans.
take
Put it
your
off
warm-
for 2,
take your
3
warm-
days.
Take
Yeah,
your-
but you know,
Take your
but
sled.
let's think about this for a second. You know what Breck had growing up? They had 3 things. 3 things that I love. They had the hamburger. Do you remember the hamburger? You crawl up the middle
Mhm.
into the 2 buns.
Oh yeah.
And then have like a
Oh.
jail cell around
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And then you would
Nice.
and then you would crawl through the jail cell and then get up on top
Yep.
and then sit up there and like throw things at people.
Yes.
Until you ran out of things to throw.
And then
Okay.
you get back in the jail cell.
And then you get back in the jail cell.
because you're a little delinquent.
And if you went to some of them had the double hamburger connected by the
Ooh.
bridge.
Oh.
yeah,
Highfalutin.
fancy.
They also had that slide. Do you remember the slide? It was a curvy slide, and it was made up of pieces of stainless steel
Ooh.
that had the little ridge every couple feet. And so when you went down, it was like th. And in the summertime in South Louisiana, where
Oh,
it gets
be
to
on
be about
fire.
110 degrees,
Yeah.
that would be like 180.
Yeah.
And you would just go down it and cry
Oh,
and be like, it hurts so bad. And then you would go back and
do it again.
do it again. Yeah.
You mastered that skill of, like, if you had shorts on, of holding your legs up.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh,
So you
I can
could-
do this like a champ. That's all. That's all. Feet in the air, going down a slide. I
Did you
can do
ever
it all
burn
day
the
long.
rivets in the back of your leg?
Yes.
I've done that before.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, the worst part was like once you actually got like you go through the slide, then it comes out to that like little flat part, and that's where you stop, and then it's like fire. And then you jump out. Yeah, it's it's fun times. I miss those days. And number 3 thing Breck had that I love and still love to this day is that they had Breck Summer Camp. So you could go and they did it all year long. You picked when you started, when you ended. It was week-long deals. Some kids went for the entire summer, but my family loved me, so we only went for a week or 2. The summer camp was you go to the park in the morning, and they had activities and things. If the weather was inclement, we watched movies, and then we would do inside sports like basketball or dodgeball, things, whatever, kickball, things like that. And then during the day, at some point, you would take a field trip every single day. And as a kid, what's your favorite thing in the world to do?
Field trip.
A field
swimming.
trip. You live for field trips.
Yeah.
So sometimes the field trip was to the park up off of, I want to say Foster, but I could be wrong, which was a swimming pool.
Oh,
And so you would
There
go
you go.
swimming. And then sometimes it was to the bowling alley. And sometimes it was to the movie theater. And sometimes
Wow.
it was to, where else did we go?
Angola.
No, never.
They didn't take you there for
No,
a.
they didn't do a scare.
Show and tell?
No, nothing like that. I think
Huh.
we did putt-putt once.
Okay.
Uh,
Did you ever do
we
glow
did.
in the dark?
We
putt
did the
putt?
celebration station, which was the putt-putt and the go-karts.
Okay.
And all this was included in your, I was going to say fare. I've been cruising a lot.
In your brick
in
membership.
your weekly
camp
Oh,
tuition.
dues.
camp dues.
Yeah.
So I would usually go during the times when I would go. I would usually go 2 weeks in a row. I remember there was one year that a friend of mine went 1 week, and then I went, or like he went with me 1 week, and then I went, but I went 2 weeks anyways. And it was great. It was a really cool summer program.
Sounds
I
like
really,
fun.
really enjoyed it. It was one of the few things, as I say, as a kid, that I liked. But yeah, that was the 3 things I loved from Breck. Now is when I got older. City Park, 9-hole golf course. I played golf in high school, and so for an hour and a half every day, got to jump on a bus in the middle of school, go to City Park, and play golf.
Wow.
Nice.
So
That
this
was
is a weird thing.
fantastic.
Coming from my small hometown, we weren't used to this sort of program. So that might be a good thing for people to leave a comment about if they grew up in a town that provided this kind of
Yeah.
children's social
Activities, yeah.
activities,
Sure.
events.
I'm sure LA
Keep
County
them
had stuff like
engaged.
that.
LA
and
County did
stuff.
have stuff like that, yes. So I lived across the street from a public park. Across the street, I was on a street that,
And it didn't.
and it didn't dead end, but it
Caddy corner.
catty corner, and I was 2 houses down from the corner. Across the main street there was a county park, Helen Keller Park, is the name of it. They had a pool,
I see.
and they had a rec center, basically. So during the summer, we were sent off to swim lessons every day until you got to the point where you were done with all the swim lessons, you were on the swim team. And when swim team season was over, you did rescue swim lessons where they taught you to jump in the pool fully clothed, take your clothes off, and tie your pants off as a flotation device, that kind of stuff.
People wonder why you're my lifeguard.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And then they also had the free lunch program at the park and the rec center,
Oh yeah.
and you could play caroms and that kind of stuff.
Hey, what?
Caroms, the little boards, they were probably 2 feet by 2 feet, and
Do you have any?
Yeah.
Anybody know what those are?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
there were wooden boards.
Leave
and
your comments.
They had. It was like doing a maze. Because they had pieces on the board itself, and you
Oh, so
used
you
the
had to,
little pull stick. No, you used the little pull stick,
Pull stick.
and you shot your little chip through the maze, and it caromed off the corners. We called them caroms.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
I need to see a picture. Can Jerry put
we
one
need a
up?
visual.
Yeah. So we didn't have. I'll text Don and see what he can do for me. We didn't have field trips because we had everything there in the park. You know, basketball courts. I played baseball there when I was a kid, and all the fun stuff that a park would have.
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say the one thing that just came to my mind is it was actually at Breck at summer camp where I learned to play one of my favorite card games of all time.
Golf.
Spades.
Oh, fun.
Well, you are the
A trade that would, or a skill that would benefit me for more years than I ever thought. That might be the most beneficial thing I learned growing up
from Breck.
from Breck.
I had the outdoors.
You would have that. It was hot. If I lived up in like pretty weather, I might would have too. But
No, I had
yeah,
horses.
that's completely
and
different.
We'd go on horse rides and.
we didn't have horses. Horses.
Yeah.
That's rich people.
He lived
stuff.
in Baton Rouge. He didn't have Cajun country.
In South Louisiana. If you had a
Cattle
horse,
country.
you were rich.
Basically,
We were definitely far from that.
you were
Eric's
doing.
like, I'd love to defend this right now, but he's kind of spot on.
You're doing.
Jerry,
You're doing something.
the people you knew with horses, rich or not rich?
I didn't see no horses.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I remember Garth Brooks had that song, "Wild Horses Keep Dragging Me Away," and I'm like, horses. My sister she was a Mel, who you work with every day, Vince. Was
what a pleasure to work with her too.
Yes, she was a wrangler for the Girl Scouts of America in South Louisiana, and that was how I knew horses, was because she did that.
Wow.
And during college, outside of that, no horses. It's crazy, isn't that weird? It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
but alligators all the time.
No, I didn't wrangle alligators.
Why not? I not wrangle them. You just observe.
No observing.
We're not crocodile hunting. Crikey, no.
No, there's no alligators.
How many swamps are there
in the Pacific
Oregon?
Northwest?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have
Yeah.
ponds. I don't know about swamps.
Oh, it's hysterical. It's hysterical.
So I've described Cameron a little weirdly. It actually was like a table, and you had, you played it like pool, but it was just flat chips. And I say chips like small poker chip kind of things.
Okay.
And you shot another chip into it to try and get into the corner. I'll send a picture over to Jerry so you can put it up here, and you guys can all see
So
what I'm
kinda
talking
like
about.
The ice shuffling game. Why can't I think of what
The
that's
ice
called?
shuffling?
With the discs on the ice. Oh my
Ice
gosh, I
hockey?
love. No, with the big.
Kind of like
No.
Why can't I think of what that's called?
They play in the Olympics?
they do, yes.
Curling.
Curling.
Curling. Oh, it's close. So it's like curling, but on a board.
No.
More like
I wouldn't call it curling.
There's no maze
I would
in
say it's
curling?
more like the maze I'm not finding here.
Oh,
I wouldn't
see.
say it was like curling. I'd say it's like billiards, pool, except you had the little tiny little chips.
Okay.
You were shooting the chips across the table.
All right. Well, after hours, we need to know what that's about.
Sounds fascinating. So,
Hey, you asked what my programs are like at the county parks.
I did. It's true.
That
I
sounds
mean,
very
if you want to
competitive
get into
too.
it, we can talk about the programs at the county jail too.
I don't have anything there for you. I'm
I
sorry.
don't either. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Well, it's been wonderful hanging out with y'all and chatting with y'all tonight. We appreciate y'all hanging out and listening to us. Jerry, is there anything we're forgetting?
Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. It really does help us out with the algorithm. And if you'd like to find out more about Hyfield and all that we do over here, check us out at hyfieldtrucking.com and chat with us over there Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyone in recruiting, they'd be happy to answer your questions. You can also give us a call at 833-493-4353, option 1, or 833-HYFIELD. And you can also reach out to us at theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com. That's theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. If you have any comments on today's show, if you wanted to talk what we got right, what we got wrong, anything that happened in your childhood growing up with your park system or anything, by all means, drop us a line. You can shoot us an email. You can comment if you're watching us on YouTube. Leave us a review on one of your favorite streaming services that you listen to us on. All that stuff helps. We really do appreciate it.
Plan your Ohio trip accordingly for bathroom stuff.
Yes.
And until we see you next time, stay safe and make good decisions.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Bye.
Till next time.